I think he adds a real stable sense of personality. He's really forthcoming about who he is and what he's about.
Jourdan Rodrigue from The Athletic. Jourdan, welcome to the program.
It's great to be here. You make a great point. I did reschedule once on you, so we'll call it even there. And also, I'm enjoying your backdrop. I've been like sort of during the break, I was like looking at all the little Easter eggs of Arizona sports in history. It is quite an assembly that you have. I'm partial to the Randy Johnson like fathead behind you as well. That's a core memory from my childhood. That's for sure.
We've got him hitting the bird on here too somewhere. So we've got
Yes.
that. And we've got Wilbur looking like he's ready to pounce on me from behind constantly on the program. Jourdan, I want to start here because you like to ask this question. So I thought I would turn the tables and ask you, what is your relationship with football?
My first and greatest love, and the thing that I am endlessly fascinated by, curious about, my purpose in life, for better and for worse, and something that keeps me curious and searching, and something I love to explain in a respectful way, obviously. And I just, it's the thing that wakes me up in the morning and probably makes me a little sick in the head to admit that on a live show here, but that's all right. We'll wear it. We'll allow it. And I love that you turned the tables on me from my play caller show there. I appreciate that.
I love the Play Callers show. The podcast was unbelievable. And quite frankly, the first thing I did when Mike LaFleur's name came up is I went back to your episode with him, a great 30-minute sit down. That was fascinating because rarely do you get that kind of insight and honesty from a coach, and you pulled that out of him. And it's very obvious that you have a great relationship with him, the whole McVay tree there. What is it about Mike that you think will make him such a special head coach?
Well, I appreciate you saying that about that interview in particular, but I'm excited to share with you guys locally there that you're going to get the same Mike. I mean, he's going to, once he gets through the initial probably shock and awe of this entire process, that's Mike. You're going to get that guy every single day. I will caveat all of this by saying you never know how somebody's going to be as a head coach. I didn't know how Liam Cohen was going to be as a head coach because I knew he was bright. I knew he was really talented. I knew he could explain things well. You never quite know how it's going to go. Obviously, that's a really positive best case scenario in recent history from that coaching tree. Well, Mike has all of those same qualities. And to that also, I think he adds a real stable sense of personality. He's really forthcoming about who he is and what he's about. I think that will relate to players pretty quickly because he's just very open. He's very honest. He's a non-BS guy, but not in a drill sergeant kind of way, in a very personable and human kind of way. I think that plus his football IQ will go a long way with players right away. And certainly with the local media, I can't wait till you guys get that a little more relaxed Mike LaFleur, because that is exactly who he is every day.
We're definitely looking forward to that. And it was pretty evident in that episode of Play Callers. But you guys got into the nitty gritty when it came to kind of the play calling, his experience with that, his vision and approach to an offense. And one of the things that stood out to me was he made it pretty clear that he's a guy that believes in suiting things to the roster that you have, not exactly just sticking with a philosophy. Is that something that you've seen and you've experienced in your conversations with him? And what do you think of the X's and O's side of what he's going to bring to the table?
Totally, because I think that he did the opposite when he was coaching for the Jets, right? Like they were trying to install a scheme. Now that roster had its issues, obviously at the time, and certainly at quarterback, but they were trying to install a scheme. And as a result of that, a lot of the play sequencing, a lot of the things that they were trying to do just didn't make sense. And so Mike, when he comes to Los Angeles, back after the 2022 season, and he starts to kind of reassess his own process and reassess his own coaching style and teaching style, going back to his fundamentals that he kind of cut his teeth on coming up under Kyle Shanahan and the like. And he kind of got back to his own core values of who are the players on our roster, and how can we adjust our own process and our own ideas of what this should look like around what they do best, and finding what they say in LA is maximizing every player's superpower. And so you saw what that looked like a lot, especially over the course of this last season. Not only were the Rams rebuilding most of their roster outside of a few core positions since Mike got there. So he's done a lot of coaching up of younger players, Puka Nacua included. But also he has helped them in these pivots that they've made. He helped Sean McVay pivot from predominantly wide and middle zone run scheme to the much more physical gap scheme that Sean McVay wanted to instill more resilience and physicality in his team overall. And they invested in the positions at interior guard and interior offensive line, and also at running back to sort of also go hand in hand with that. And then also their pivots from this predominantly 11 personnel scheme in 2025 in and out of this 13 personnel scheme that really caught the league by surprise, because they were doing it in a different way than teams that have used it so predominantly, like the Cardinals, for example, doing it in a completely different way, setting up the pass with it versus typically the run with it, that teams were just not ready for, prepared for, and did so because they had 4 really great tight ends up on their roster. So he's become adept at pivoting in that way. And I think first he had to strip back what he thought he knew and then rebuild a lot of things. And I think that's a helpful element of his coaching development process while he was in Los Angeles.
You bring up his work with Puka Nacua, obviously 2 very young receivers here in Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson. What did you see with how he worked with Puka that you think could apply to the wide receiver group here in Arizona?
Well, Mike's really good at explaining things and helping receivers, especially because that's much of his background. He's worked with every level type of receiver, every position within the receiving tree, and also like Hall of Famers, and also guys who are trying to make the team off the practice squad. And so he really understands how to explain things. And it's not just explaining what has to happen, it's why and how it has to happen, and also how what they're expected to do on a granular level fits into the larger tapestry or surface of whatever that play is, whether it's run or pass. I think one of the big things that he's going to ask these receivers to buy in on immediately is getting more involved in the run game and really understanding how they can specifically, even though it's like not the sexiest thing for them to be doing, how their blocking can truly activate not only the run game that they want to bring to life, but also how it then sets up the passing game. You're going to hear this a lot, probably too much. Take a shot every time you hear it at this point, marrying the run and the pass. It's the catchphrase of this coaching system, besides the illusion of complexity. That's the other one you're going to hear a lot. And really what it is making run and pass concepts look so similar pre-snap that you have no idea what's coming at you. Because even if you're in a smaller personnel with these receivers on the field, you think, oh, they could also stick their face into the trench and block open a gap. And so it could be a run play as well as it could be a downfield passing play, or, some of the motions, it could be run or pass. So getting those receivers truly like electrified and ignited over what is possible for them, not just in one phase of the offense, is something that I think Mike will really come to life. It's his style to do that. And I think that's where he'll start to like really kind of show these players who he is as a coach early.
I like that you found common ground between ASU and U of A, saying take shots. We all know both universities are quite good at that. The big thing that a lot of people are talking about is Mike's experience when it comes to the NFC West, obviously the toughest division in football. I think we can all agree on that. But obviously, Sean McVay, his relationship with the coaching staff up in San Francisco. How do you think that will help as well, and that knowledge might give him an edge as he goes into this?
Well, I think he's like temperamentally equipped to deal with these psychopaths across the NFC West, right? Like this was, I have to be honest, it was such an unenviable job to take. And it's not just, we could talk for hours, I'm sure, about ownership and all of that, but like specifically the competition level of the NFC West makes this a job that you have to be a little crazy to want, first and foremost. But second of all, you have to understand yourself in a way that I think it's really hard for a lot of young coaches to do, because a lot of young coaches say, like, they kind of do the, the girl dating the toxic men thing where they're like, I can fix him. I can be the one to make the change. Right. And like, then they can't. Right. And that's what this division brings out in people, truly. And really what this is the understanding that this is a team that has a lot of really talented players in different areas, but still needs a lot of work, more talent infusion in different parts of the roster, and like a cohesive identity, and building that identity from like alphabet to dictionary will really, I think, be what Mike is focusing on and why he's temperamentally able to take this on, because he'll worry less about like that competition. I mean, yes, he wants to win games, but he'll worry less about the status of it and more about like truly getting into the process of it. And then when it comes to competing with those guys, he knows them so well. He's been in Sean's ear, he's been in Kyle's ear, he's been in the headsets with them for years at this point. He knows Mike McDonald very, very well at this point. And that's not to say, I think that knowing your opponent is what part of the reason why these games in the NFC West do get so competitive the way that they are, because they all know each other extremely well. So they all now, I think, are just a little bit more even in terms of the strategy of the game. Now, how they deploy it, how Mike deploys it, how he decides to deploy it, obviously still remains to be seen. But in terms of understanding the strategy of his opponents, that's something that where he really, truly does have an edge.
We've been spending like 38 years trying to learn the alphabet here, so a full dictionary will be quite nice. Jourdan, what is, in the final question here, what is the one thing that Cardinals fans need to know about Mike LaFleur from your experience with him?
A lot of the things that are going to happen in this offense, especially, you are not going to see right away because the things that matter for this offense are, it is exactly what I just said. It's building the alphabet first. They're going to come in and try to build something that truly can seamlessly move from run to pass very easily without changing a lot of the pre-snap looks that you're seeing. And also personnels are going to change. They want to be able to move from 12 to 13 to 11, and particularly from 11 to 13 without telling a defense what they want to do. So as fans, people on the outside, you're not going to see what a lot of that install looks like all at once. First, you're going to see pieces of it. Like I would imagine, I can't set my watch by it, but I would think you're going to see a lot of actually like them trying to install an 11 personnel playbook, a 3 receiver playbook first, because once they do that, then they can build all of the same concepts using 13 personnel or 3 tight ends. It's the same thing, just bigger bodies and interchanging the size of the player on the field and messing with the other team's linebackers and safeties that way. So it's like these little mathematical equations that they're going to have to install first before you actually see what the overall identity and capability of this offense is. So through the spring, through training camp, you're going to see a lot of troubleshooting. You're going to see a lot of problem solving. It doesn't always look great in the immediate, but you'll see with this offense, you've seen it for years, and pick a guy from this coaching tree and you'll see it. You saw it with Liam Cohen this year. Once the pieces start to come together, you saw them make so many different small incremental adjustments over time because it's an active problem solving job and role, and Mike will approach it that way. And so you'll see a lot of trying things. So I would urge patience, first of all, and also like give him a shot. I know that Cardinals fans are thirsty for wins, and I would feel the same, and the team obviously means a lot to me as well personally. Give him a shot, because I think he will come in with a plan. It may take longer than I think people necessarily want to give him in the initial wave here.
She is Jourdan Rodrigue from The Athletic. If you're not following her already, you are missing out on the best NFL coverage that you can get.
And the best dog picture in a banner on Twitter.
Yes.
That's true.
I win.
And a hometowner too. So follow her at Jourdan, Jourdan Rodrigue, Rodrigue, and make sure to catch everything she does at The Athletic, and check out the Play Callers podcast. You are going to get information that will wow you. Jourdan, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.